What is more British than bright green fields of grass dotted with little white blobs of sheep? Our countryside has looked this way for at least the last 1,000 years. We see it in children's picture books. We sing about it in nursery rhymes. It is embedded in our culture. But there is a battle for survival going on, completely invisible to the naked eye, and the sheep are losing. They are fighting the worms. Not the nice, helpful earthworms, but the parasitic worms that live in the sheep, or on the pasture, or in the poo. Those helminths, nematodes, a crucial but frustrating part of sheep farming. Imagine you have spent the last 6 weeks tired lambing all your sheep, checking on them 2-3 times a day, every day. Missing those pub trips, those evenings in by the warm fire. But the weather changes. You turn your lambs out onto grass. It's sunny. You're out of the difficult part. You've been getting enough sleep. You watch your lambs growing, skipping around on the lush green grass. And then they start dying. Each day, you drive around, and there's another one dead, another 2, another 1. Every day. And then you see some dirty bums. Aha! It might be worms, you think. I can fix that. So you drench your lambs. But they just keep dying. Some investigations later, you find out that the worms on your farm are resistant to that particular treatment. All your hard work drenching all those little lambs was in vain, a waste of time and money. Not only that, your worms are resistant to all the major wormers. The worms just won't die, but your lambs will. Imagine knowing that you can't do anything, feeling helpless and watching all your hard work go down the drain. Your lambs are dying, and you can't do anything about it. This is the very real situation that sheep farmers are dealing with, or will be dealing with in the next few years. Already 94% of sheep farmers in Wales have resistance to at least one wormer. But this is something we can prevent and we can change. So after getting a Nuffield Scholarship, and thanks to my sponsors, the Royal Welsh Agricultural Society and the Worshipful Company of Farmers with Saddles, I moved to New Zealand, the land of the sheep and the combination wormer, to work and really understand the nitty-gritty of sheep farming there. New Zealand has just as much of a problem with wormer resistance as we do. Like in the UK, the worms are fighting a battle for their lives. And as with all living things, they adapt and become resistant to the things that kill them. We've all heard of Darwin's theory of evolution, survival of the fittest. And at the moment, the fittest worms are resistant to anthelmintics. So we need to outsmart the biology. If worms are regularly exposed to wormers, it's easy for them to adapt and fight against them. So we need to come at them from all angles, use all our tools to be able to keep farming. So how do we do this? Firstly, we need to understand how we created the problem. Our overuse of wormers, indiscriminate dosing schedules, and lack of thought for refugia has got us in this sticky situation. So if you want to reach for a wormer, first stop and consider 3 points. Number 1, do you actually need to treat? A visit to FECPAC in New Zealand gave me the brilliant, feck, it's Monday. A weekly reminder So do a poo pick and get a fecal egg count done. The power of the fecal egg count is not just in the one-off number, but the trend that multiple fecal egg counts show over months for groups and pastures. Each group should be fecal egg counted every month. These trends can give you an indication of what is happening on the pasture and allows you to treat before the worm burden starts to affect the sheep's production. And does everything in the group need to be treated? Refugia, leaving some of the worm population without exposure to the wormer, helps reduce resistance development. This can be achieved by only selecting animals that the parasites may be affecting, such as skinny individuals or lambs not putting on weight compared to their cohort. Number 2, which wormer will work? As well as taking into account the time of year and worm species you are targeting, white wormers still kill spring Nematodirus after all these years. Do you actually know what wormers work on your farm? Have you done a drench test for each wormer group? Are you certain that what you are buying is worth it? Or are you like the farmer whose lambs keep dying? And number 3, once you have drenched, it is crucial what you do with the sheep afterwards, as this seriously impacts the wormer-resistant status on your farm. One key provision is to put sheep back on their previous pasture, once wormed, for 24 to 48 hours, before moving them to a new pasture. This means that any resistant worms left in the sheep are diluted by a non-resistant population, which reduces the resistant development. But wormers only target the worms in the sheep. Only 5 to 10% of worms are actually in the sheep. The rest are on the pasture. So why do we focus on our wormers so much? Our use of wormers created the problem, but they are only a part of the solution. So what is the solution? For a problem this complex, there is no silver bullet, no one drug that can fix it, but changes can be made. In New Zealand, I met Alan from Avalon. He doesn't use wormers in his ewes and haven't for years. He partly puts this down to his breeding program, breeding resistant sheep which fight the worms themselves. These animals have the immune capacity to kill the worms in their guts. Who wouldn't want sheep like that? This is a heritable trait, and using biology to fight biology just makes sense. Let's use genetics against the worm's evolution. But without proper nutrition, no animal can live up to the best of its genetic potential. As Vic will discuss in much more detail, good body condition score animals have the ability to grow and to thrive. And this includes in the face of parasite burdens. Production needs protein, whether that's for muscle, milk, or immune function. And poor nutrition has another detrimental effect. If lambs aren't growing, they're kept on pasture for longer. Young, nutritionally stressed, highly susceptible animals spend their days contaminating pastures with more and more parasites as the year goes on. It hurts the bank balance and the grass, and is a cycle that needs to stop. Now, I'm sure you're all there thinking, it's all very well me as a vet standing up here telling you to feed your sheep better. But what does that look like in reality? Sometimes it means painful decisions. If this was an easy problem to solve, I wouldn't have been given a Nuffield to study it. Ask yourself, which are the most important animals on your farm? Your ewes, your ewe lambs, your soon-to-be fat lambs. Each farmer will have their own priority depending on their business structure. Decide that. You can't have everything. In early summer, most will prioritise their weaned lambs. And this can be a great time to set your pasture up for autumn and winter success. Give the lambs the best grass, but keep them moving. Add in those mixed swards, that chicory for the tannins, helping naturally kill the parasites in the guts, the clover for protein. Move pastures every 5 days, and follow the lambs with the less susceptible ewes, ideally cows, to act as vacuumers. Now, it'd be remiss of me, given my background, to not mention the often dull, seemingly dull topic of biosecurity. But buying in sheep is the most common way to get overnight resistance issues on your farm. The best biosecurity I saw was on a fish farm. Victory Farms, Sindhu Town, a little place on the edge of Lake Victoria in Kenya. During the short life of a tilapia fish, they are moved ponds at least 10 times before ending up in growing cages in the lake itself. It is essential that parasites are not transmitted between ponds or to the lake due to their impact on productivity and the fragile ecosystem of the lake, so stringent biosecurity is in place. These are fish. They can't just be treated with wormers. Before every movement, a few fish are sacrificed to monitor parasite levels and the cohort treated or destroyed if necessary. Now, I'm not suggesting that you kill a few lambs every time before you move pasture. But do you take your farm's biosecurity as seriously as this? And if not, how can you improve? They are protecting the asset of a clean and biodiverse lake to help them grow their product efficiently. Are you protecting your farm, your grass, your resistance status? You've heard a lot of presentations around livestock these past few days, but if you remember one thing from this, remember that farmer whose lambs are dying and is helpless to stop it. Can you afford to be that farmer? Financially, mentally? Don't let it be you. Don't let that happen on your farm. You have the ability to stop it happening. Be that barrier, that protector, and think before you reach for that drench. Are you creating a problem that will stop you sheep farming? Thank you.